Good evening and welcome everybody to another one of our weekly lives. Tonight's live, I can tell you, is going to be not disappointing, shall we say. I think tonight's live will be very humorous. I think people will get lots of great tips from tonight. And yeah, let's just put it this way. This tonight is way better than anything that's on the TV, a film that's already recorded. Not that I'm hyping this gentleman up so far, okay, but if he's not hilariously humorous and giving you some amazing information, I'll be massively surprised. So who is this man that I've got on tonight? We have got the enigma. That's the only way I could describe you, Gerry, actually. The enigma that is Gerry Brennan, a man that I have had the pleasure of meeting just in 2020. In fact, I didn't know you pre-COVID. There you go. Not that you've had COVID or I've had COVID, but we didn't know each other pre the COVID situation. Gerry is a massive heart. He's hilarious. He loves to help people. He actually works with an organization, the FSB. No, not the Russian FSB, in case anyone's suddenly thinking, what is Spencer on tonight? The Federation of Small Businesses. But don't be, I think that's the worst title ever, because the FSB is for organizations up to 249 employees. That's a reasonably big sized business. So he's going to tell you a little bit about that, but not a lot. But I want to know more about the real Gerry. So there you go, Gerry. I've built you up. That's 2 minutes worth of build up that you've had. That's the largest build up that I've ever given anybody. You better deliver.
It's the largest build up, and it's the quietest I've ever been for 2 minutes, sitting here biting my tongue going, what a load of drivel. My gosh. No, I appreciate that, Spencer. And listen, it's good to be here. And if I can share anything tonight that people can take things away from, yeah, then it's absolutely worthwhile. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. If you do search for FSB online, you will see pictures of men dragging you out of your house in the middle of the night. That's not us. Do type in Federation of Small Business, and then we can certainly help. And also, you're right, any business from 0 employees up to 249. But I'm not here to talk about FSB tonight. That was nice plug. Thank you so much. I suppose let's go back to the start. Let's go back to the fun part. I was brought up in a small town in Ireland where everything was really slow. Everyone was really close. Family was really important. Friends were really important. In a housing estate with 207 houses, and I could possibly name the other 206 families that were in each house. And that's how close people were. But also, not just close, but nobody had any real ambition to go away from that, because it was close-knit and you were looked after and you were cared for. You could get a sandwich at any door, hence my size, because I went to lots of doors. But you could. And when I was young, I remember sitting with my mum and I was reading a book called Arthur C. Clarke's Wonderful World, or Mysterious World, and there was a picture of Niagara Falls and some chappie waving as he's about to go over it in a barrel, and thinking, my gosh, look at all of these amazing wonders. I want to see that. And I pointed at the picture, and I clearly remember my mum had said, "Oh, son, nobody in our family has ever traveled. I mean, I think your dad once went to the next town where he hitchhiked. We've never had a car. We've never had anyone go through any form of education. It's always been, the ambition was really low to do anything, for yourself. It was more just stay locally, stay safe, don't go too far, don't push yourself too far." And of course, I said, I want to go and see Niagara Falls. So my mum sat me down and said, "Look, son, that's not just far away. That's not kind of beyond your dreams. That's beyond your wildest dreams. And it's so, so far away. There's no point even thinking about it, because you'll just disappoint yourself because you won't get there. But you know what? See if you make it to Dublin, which was 52 miles away in the train. If you make it there, I'll be so proud of you. You'll have gone further than anyone in our family." And I'm, okay, 52 miles. So that was her ambition for me. Yeah, when I did make it to Boston to see some friends, I looked at the map thinking, what am I doing today? Because they were working, and I said, my gosh, Niagara Falls is only an inch away on the map. I'm going to go there. So I went and hired a car and said, I need a car for a few hours. And they're going, where are you going? Niagara Falls. Take the car for a few days, son. Okay, good. So yeah, I jumped in the car and it took me 10 hours to get from Boston to Niagara Falls. But the important thing is, for anyone who has never been there, you're half a mile away from it. You can hear the sound, you can hear the roar. As you're, a couple of hundred yards away, the mist is starting to come down on you, and you can hear it. You can't believe the amount of water that's going over the edge of it. But right beside Niagara Falls is all of these telephone booths, and you can just go across. You can use the telephone booths for international dialing, and you know what? I phoned my mum. I said, "You're never going to guess where I am. Guess where I've been, and guess where I've made it to." And she remembered it as clear as day to say, "Oh my gosh, you have gone further than my wildest dreams could ever have imagined." And I've gone far further since then. I've done far more, but just to get there, it shows you never put a cap on your ambition or your drive or where you want to go. So yeah, I absolutely I love that, Spencer. Just being able to achieve something, being on a Learjet, being on the top of a mountain on a snowmobile, limousine. I've done so many things that I never thought possible because I've pushed myself. Tremendous drive and ambition to do well, and also I hate losing. It's one passion, man. Absolutely hate losing in anything. If I do lose, I'll learn from it and I'll look at how I lost. I'll analyze it and I'll go, right, and now I need to go and beat that person, and not just beat them, pump them into the absolute ground so they know they never should do it again. It's, again, an ambition to win. So the Niagara Falls thing was great, but well, when I was 18, and again that impulsive drive to do well, my brother had come in and he said, I was working in a pub in Ireland at the time, and my brother says, Gerry, I believe that there's some boys are home from London, some boys, and that they're earning £600 a month. Now, I was on about £150 a month, so £600 a month was like unbelievable money. And this was 30 years ago in London. And I said, I've got to have some of that. I'm going. So that was on the Friday evening. On the Saturday morning, went into the local estate agents, get me a flight to go to London. Never been abroad before. I didn't know anyone in London. I didn't have a job, but I was going. And then I went back, told my mum I was going, sold my record collection to one of my friends, which gave me £150. And I think it was the Wednesday after, flew to London. So never been abroad, never been in London, didn't know where I was going. Essentially got on the underground. But I got on and off it because this train that went under the ground, it was immense. Hopped on and off, came out at Fulham Broadway, and seen directly across the road, there's a pub called the White Hart. Right into the pub, sat down with my duffel coat and my bags and asked for a whiskey and red lemonade, and the chappie just laughed at me and said, "You must be from Ireland." And I'm going, these buggers are very clever in London. Is it the duffel coat? Is it the jacket? Is it the bags? Is it the accent? He said, it's the red lemonade because it's an Irish thing. And he says, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for work." He says, "Oh, right, okay." He says, "Can you work in a bar?" And I said, "Yeah, I work in a bar in Ireland, but this seems to be different." And he said, "Oh, hold on, I'll just get the manager who was Irish in an Irish bar. And we're looking for a live-in barman. So if you want a job, it's £150 a week, £600 a month, and your room upstairs and your meals, and you work 5.5 days a week, but you don't get the weekends off." So I phoned my mum, who was still in tears. "I'm here. I've got a job. I've got a place to stay." And that was my grounding. Now,
Wow.
when it's probably difficult to explain because 30 years ago in London, life was immensely fast. And it didn't matter what race, creed, size, age, religion you were, everyone got on, but they went at a million miles an hour because life was booming, absolutely booming. And you learn very quick. You sunk or you swam. And that was my grounding in life. in terms of learning about people and dynamics and how to read them and engagement, because you had to do that on the other side of the bar. So I learned pretty quickly about that. On my day and a half off, I probably spent sitting in the buckies because there was nothing personal about things in London. You didn't have any friends really. You just had a life that went really fast where nobody cared. And that was the biggest difference about Ireland. In Ireland, everyone cared, but no one really had ambition. In London, everyone had ambition and nobody cared. So it was a reverse. And then I met a lassie and came to Scotland. She promised me that the football was good and the weather was better. She lied on both. It's
Yeah.
what it does that. Yeah. So came to Scotland and got involved in. And I'd qualified as an IT consultant. Got an open university degree, so done that. And got involved in IT, done reasonably well. But then decided I wanted to have my own flexibility and my own direction. Became a director of one of my own businesses for renewables, and literally took it from nothing to 6.5 million turnover within 4.5 years. 60 odd staff, and that was just through hard graft, effort, and good people around you. Mini stroke, which happens because it's your baby and you never want to stop. And you just keep going and push too hard, and that happens. And probably the thing that shaped me, because I've always been successful in what I've done. I've never really lost in anything I've done. I've always been top of the tree, no matter what job I was in, or what challenge I was set. I was always top. But when you have your own company and you're earning really good money, if you don't have much time, you find things to do with it. And I mentioned the gambling side. So I started to gamble more and more and more until I was gambling thousands of pounds a week. It was a lot of money, but also decided then at one point, this is too much. I need to stop. I'm a stubborn bugger. So I just decided to stop, and I cut it out completely. And I cancelled every single account that I had. And believe me, there was an awful lot of them. So I had got through all of them. So yeah, they were all done. And then I had one night sitting there, and I got an email through from, what was it called? Virgin Games. And they said, here's a free bet. And I went, oh, you complete and utter buggers. Right, that's the last thing I want is something free coming through. So my colleague was with me, Barry, called him through and said, look at this, look what they've done. They're giving me a free bet. But I get rid of it, you actually needed to log in to delete the account. And I thought, yeah, because otherwise they would just continue to send you stuff. So yeah, got the logged in and said, right, watch, this is what we'll do. I will use the £100 on one bet because it's not going to win, right? And then because I'm not going to waste it. And should I? But I did. Logged in, roulette, and put £100 number 8. And for anyone who plays roulette, the odds are 36 to 1. So if you win on it, you're getting 3,600 quid. So put it in 8, expecting it not to win, and what won?
Number 8.
Exactly, number 8. And then after that one, I said, well, it probably won't let me withdraw because it's a free bet. So I went to withdraw and they said, no, you can't. You have to leave your £100 in there. So I said, fine. I'm going to withdraw the £3,000, right? And I'll leave £600 in there, and it'll let me do it. So £3,000 to my account, 600 quid on the table, and I went, okay, repeat bet. Put £100 and 7, £100 and 8, and £100 and 0 for a very analytical reason. For any of the gamblers that are on here, a 7 and 8 are across from the table on each other. So when the ball's coming in this side, you get a buzz, or when it's coming this side, you get a buzz.
All right, okay.
And 0 because it would just bug me if it was the odd one green colour in the whole table that came in. So 7, 8, and 0, and I had £200 on each of them, and 7 came in, which was 7,200 quid. So withdrew £6,000 to my account, Repeat bet, double bet, spin. 8.
No.
14,400 quid. This is three spins, and what's more, it wasn't even a real roulette table. It was one of those cartoony ones that pops up and could go anywhere. So I now had 14,400 quid sitting on the table. Going, withdraw 10 grand, repeat bet, double bet, and I covered. This shows you what the gambling is. I covered 28, 29, 30, 26, and 23, and 11 because those numbers are all around. And number 8 came in again.
Wow.
So this was 800 quid on number 8. So that's 28,800 quid. And now it's sitting on this table, which I could have withdrawn. But I also had £19,000 sitting, heading towards my bank account. Yeah. And at that point, you go, right, sometimes these things are just meant to pay. Do you ever see a machine and you play it and you get 3 or 4 wins? It's just, do you know what? It's ready to pay. Now, when you're gambling thousands of pounds, £2,000 or £3,000 is irrelevant. £28,000 is a lot of money to somebody, but to me, it wasn't even real because I hadn't withdrawn and I hadn't used it. It was just sitting on
You
there.
hadn't put any money in. You had no skin in the game, so to speak.
Yeah, and I had 19 grand heading towards my account, so I went, right, okay, this is it. Let's go for it. Let's put the whole 28,800 quid on. Now, my spinning balance just shows you how bad a gambler I was. I could bet up to £50,000 on one spin. So the whole 28,800 went in. Can I tell you why I don't like the number 34 next?
I've just got the calculator that it would have been 1,036,800 you would have won if that had come in.
You're right. Yeah, 28,000 times 36.
800 times 36 is 1,036,800.
No, because that's what it was split between different numbers.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, so 800 quid times 36. Yeah, still it's an amount of money you could have done something with. That's what I was thinking. And anyway, it's going to pay. Well, that's why I don't like number 34, and that's why I referred to it and said, I once lost 28,800 quid in one spin of a roulette wheel. But to me, I'd never lose it because I never had it. But in 2 days after that, £19,000 hit my bank account, and I went and bought a second-hand R-Type Mercedes, an R-Type 320 with the money, because it reminded me of something there's tangible. And once the money hit my account, I cancelled. Now, the gambling bit, I'm not proud of, but I do love gambling. When you say you were a gambler, you're always a gambler. It's a horrible addiction that it's everywhere. You know, if you drink, you can run out of drink, but you can always gamble 24/7. It's online. It's a horrible thing. So I decided that I like this too much. So I need to put a cap on it. I also need to stop it. In my own mind, I can do it, but yeah, do you know what? Let's go to Gamblers Anonymous. I said, I'm going to go for a month. Now, you'll have to excuse the language in this one, and there is a story behind it. So turned up at Gamblers Anonymous, and it was full of scumbags and reprobates. That's the only way I can describe it. I was suited, booted, sitting there in the corner, looking like $1 million compared to everyone around me. And all of them were going, Eric, pal, by the way, I was going, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. And they said, would you like to say anything? No, I don't. No, I'm thinking, my gosh, what is this? Get your cup of tea at halftime. Couldn't wait to get out of it. But went and said, right, you said you'd go for a month. Right, back the second time, a week after, same. Back the third time, same, but they said to me, do you want to say anything? And I said, right, okay, look, I've got an honors degree in computer science. I said, got a company, quite well to do. Decided to stop gambling and I've stopped. I came here to see if there was anything else that I should be doing to tick the box in my mind to say I need help. But I don't think it's for me. So thank you so much. But I probably won't be back. And that was just before the break. And then at the break, when you're having a cup of tea, a chappie came across to me and said, I'm sorry, I really like what you said there. I could associate with that. I'm quite like you. And I said, look, with all due respect, I don't think so. And he went, no, I was out in Bears Den, had my own business, lost the business, lost the wife, lost the family, lost the house, lost the whole shooting match. I've lost my hope because I can't stop. And if I get money, I will go and gamble. You're lucky that you can stop. And it was like a sledgehammer. Those people that you called scumbags and reprobates were really me. They were on the way down and they couldn't stop. I was on
Yeah.
the way down and managed to put the brakes on. I sat outside in the car for about an hour, greeting my eyes out, just going, "What a fool!" And that really was a key moment for me in opening my eyes and being able to see past money, because up until then, money was irrelevant to me. I've
Yeah.
always had enough of it. I've always been able to get and buy the things I wanted, or go after it, or chase it. Because if you want a nice holiday, just go and work harder. You want a nicer car, work harder, bigger house, work harder. But it was all about the possessions and the money and the stuff without seeing the value behind them. Whereas that made me see life in a completely different way. So the values, my values changed, my approach to life changed, how I dealt with people changed. And it was probably a godsend that the Federation of Small Business came along, because I know I could go and do most jobs. I know I could go back into another director's role. I could help businesses make money, but there's not many roles you get that allow you to give back. And I do far more than just there's the FSB booklet, good luck. I'll help people with LinkedIn, or I'll help people with scripts, or I'll give them guidance or advice based on what I've done. And it doesn't say in the FSB booklet you'll get that. That's just me saying I prefer to plough the field behind me instead of in front of me now. Because if
Yeah.
you ploughing the field in front of you, you're going after one person. There's the horse doing one thing. If you're ploughing it behind you and looking after one person, you'll get probably 2 or 3 referrals instead of one deal. So it's always been that's been my way now. Look after what you've got instead of what you can get, and it will serve you well. And it's funny enough that's how we met, and I think got on quite well, because
Yeah.
during the networking, I see you're a very similar beast that wants to give back. I know it's time and wealth creator, but you have a real passion and enthusiasm for helping people, and it's probably because you've had the same kind of, not the same fallings, but you've had fallings where you hit the
Yeah.
ground and go, right, how do I give back and recreate? Um, so yeah, that's me, and it is quite funny. I was asked to speak at an event before lockdown, and when I turned up, everyone at the event was an FSB member, and I went, "Bugger, I can't sell to anyone. It's a waste of time." But I did say to them, I said, right, okay, who knows me? And they all put their hands up, and I said, no, no, who knows me? Not Gerry that's there, that's been buoyant and engaging and trying to help. Who knows me? And the hands start going down one by one. I said, who knows? I took a massive risk and left for Ireland at 18 with nowhere to go. Who knows I started a company and built it to 6.5 million turnover? Who knows I was a gambling addict and spent 38.5 million quid? It's those things. So I would say if there's anything comes from this, get to know the people that you're engaging with, and not just the facades and the fronts.
Yeah.
We've seen tremendous difficulties, me included, during COVID. You question your sanity, you question your approach. We've all pivoted and bounced and whatever, to try and keep going. But there's tough times for a lot of people, and we're really, really good at covering it up. My gosh, I covered up gambling for years that nobody would know a thing about. I buried letters in the garden. My gosh, see, when the postman was coming in, I was lying underneath the door ready to collect the mail so I could bury it. Yeah, you do all sorts, so nobody is aware of the pain that's going on, and we all have it. But see, when you come through it, you look in the mirror and say, "Yeah, done all right. Today's another challenge, though. Let's see how we can get on with it." So yeah, I would say, yeah, get to know and understand who you're dealing with, because you never know what they know, what they've been through, and also you never know who they know and who they can connect to it. And that doesn't happen easily. That's effort. That's time and effort and energy, and you need it. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell, old chappie.
Brilliant. Brilliant. There's so many things in there. And firstly, give them thumbs up, love hearts for those that are on just now. Please share this. There's multiple layers within what you've just said there. You actually, on a funny note, you take me back to my first time in Dublin. And I've never revealed this. Only a few people know this. But I went over to meet the girlfriend that I'd met on the holidays in Tenerife. and I had arranged with her friend to meet her in Dublin because she lived halfway across Ireland, for those that don't know Ireland. By the way, nor do I. Anyway, the friend's not there. This is already, I'll cut the story short. I end up in a bar, right? And I used to drink Southern Comfort back in the days and lemonade. And they said, red or white? I'm like, pardon? With your Southern Comfort, red or white? I'm like, red or white what? I've asked for lemonade. Red or white? And I'm like, oh, he doesn't understand my accent. I'm Scottish. Gosh, red. So I get this Southern Comfort with red lemonade, and it looked like Iron Brew. So I was absolutely sorted. True story, that. Absolute true story. So when you mentioned red lemonade earlier on, that just took me back to those days, which was a long time ago. When it wasn't a euro, it was punts. So that's how far back I'm going. Anyway, in your story, there's just so many things. Your mum, and I'm sure you love your mum lots, but she's what we would call a dream stealer. The type of person who turns around and says, no, you can't have that. You can't have that. Nobody's had that before. Who do you think you are? You know, nobody's had a phenomenal education. Then you said you went on and got an open university education as well. Mm-hmm. You've gone over to Niagara Falls. You've gone round the world. You've done all these things. So many people that I meet, and I know you meet as well, have this limitation. They have this self-limiting belief, usually born through their circumstances, their parents, their family, their associations, their schooling. And it's really difficult for anyone to break through that. But if nothing else, people can take your story and go, well, actually, that I was like Gerry. I had that lovely community and everything was loving and everything was perfect in so many ways, but I had this itch that I had to scratch, and I decided to go and just go all in, like you did in the gambling. And you can tell you've got an addictive personality because you go, here you go, I'm away, gone. So
yeah, I think you're absolutely right when it comes to dream stealers. Now, yeah. But you don't realize until you're outside of that circle, because to my mum, she was protecting me. See, if you stay here and it's safe, then you're fine. Look at the community, the people. You don't now. When I go home and I go home to Ireland, I still see the same people sitting in the same pubs telling the same stories that have been there for 20, 30 years. When I look online, the local paper, it's the same people in the pub having a pint, having a chat, recounting the same old stuff that they have forever. Now, that's very safe for them, but it's not life for me. And you remind me of a story with my mum. When I was 12, and I've got really good friends, Stephen. So he was born 2 days before me, and he was born a couple of doors down from me. So his mum and my mum in the hospital at the same time. So he was 2 days older than me. And when you're going into secondary school, you had to go and get your birth certificates and all your ID and bring them in. So he went in, he's standing in front of me, right, you know, Stephen Culbert, 9/11, 67, thanks very much. There's your birth cert, because they look it up in the council. Right, Gerry, what's yours? 11/10/67. Can't find you. Are you sure it was this hospital? Yes. Right, let me just check a day before and a day after. Oh, here you are. You were born on the 12th. Now, see, in fairness, so my mum had given me the wrong date of birth. So I was actually, and this is traumatic. My friend who was 2 days older than me was now 3 days older than me. I went back and seen my mum to say, I am 12 and traumatized. You got my date of birth wrong. And she said, right, see when you're older and you can remember exactly 12 years ago to the day what you were doing. I'm only 1 day out in 12 years. And that was her logic. So she actually thought it was quite good. She was only 1 day out. Also, when we're talking about removing the barriers, I was very lucky when I worked in London, right, and got my grounding and engaging with people, and then started the Open University degree and started working in a computer firm. But it was, you had to do cold calling. At the time, there was no GDPR rules. There was no, you were given a big, thick yellow pages and you were given a phone. None of these sit there auto dialers and a no, sit at the desk there's the yellow pages, get on with it. And you just had to sit and call. I loved it and took to it really well. But we had an amazing owner, and he always used to come out and give you gems. So every Monday morning, he made everyone accountable: internal sales team, external sales team, made them all accountable for what they were doing, made sure everyone was aware of their roles and their positions. And one day he came out and he said, "Look, you know, when I started this business, I done so off the back of having done well in the photocopier industry." We're going, all right, okay, that's good. He says, I got involved in printers, and he's telling us this, 5, 6 years ago, but done so well, they made me an area manager. And of course, printing, there was no internet at the time, so printing and copy was everything. And he said, done really well. I pushed my team, and then of course they went from black and white copiers to color copiers. So you can go and resell to everyone else again. And the company was booming and had this big place down in central London, and was 4 area managers for the 4 areas in London: north, south, east, and west. And we all had to go and sit in with the sales director once a month, go there, bring our reports in. And he said, now let me describe his office to you. It was minimalistic. He said, you walk in, big glass windows, big oak table sitting there. He said, the 4 chairs sit in front of us. And he says, and then he used to have this big glass sitting, like the big sweetie jars, a big glass sitting there, and he had sticks inside it and cellophane all over it. And it looked completely out of place. But every time we come in for a meeting, and he'd just get this big jar and slide it across to the side. And then he would talk to us and get our results and said, right, okay, good, thanks very much. And we would go. And life was good. But then one day we came in, been there for a year and a half, whatever. One day we came in, same thing, same routine, big glass jar sitting in the front. And he said, you never ever asked me what this is. I said, what is it? He says, come and have a look. So we're all walking up, and he says, here's a magnifying glass each. And they're going, for what? He said, it's my flea collection. He goes, what? He said, oh yeah, fleas can jump something like 500 times their own weight. Right. Can pull 5,000 times. They're immense beasts that can survive Holocaust. They said he went into this big rhetoric about fleas, and we're going, my gosh, you're mad. He says, have a look. So he says, the 4 of us are sitting there trying to play, but just looking at this, right, okay, I can't really see anything. We said, have a clearer look. And he took the cellophane off. And of course, they all jump back. He says, George, he says, we jump back. My gosh, what are you doing? You start, there's fleas in there, cover it up quickly. He said, oh, don't worry. He says, they've been in there that long, and they've bounced and hit the plastic so much that they don't know I've taken the plastic off now. Right? And George walked back into the office, and everyone thought he was mad. And I've never forgot that story. That's the glass ceiling that we put on ourselves all the time. And you just say, no. So every single day I'll rip that glass ceiling off. And there's most days though, I don't think of that story and think, right, what challenges have I got? Who says I can't do something? And then you go and try and do it. So yeah, it's the same. And that probably doesn't help the gambling bit either. But
yeah. You know what you mean? It's true. It's like how do you tame an elephant when they're really young? You don't tie a rope around their leg, because that's all they really need. You put the biggest, the strongest steel rope around them, and then what you can do is, once they're all full grown, because they've tried so many times, you can actually put a really light rope around them, and they won't move, because, as you say, the condition. And that's unfortunately what happens to so many people in life as such. It's just, I think it's fascinating. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours and hours, and sometimes we do, but maybe not on Facebook Live for that matter. But it's from a health perspective as well, you not let that hold you back. It's interesting, because you see what I see happening right now, okay, is there are millions of people in the UK, and I mean millions of people in the UK, that have had some bad cards dealt to them recently, shall we say. You've had bad cards dealt to you at points. When you said I presume it was a TIA that you had, a transient ischemic attack, from what you said earlier on. Showing off my medical knowledge, by the way.
Yeah. Whole left side went numb. With my blood pressure was 197 over 150 odd. Wow. And I've got natural hypertension, which means I am more buoyant anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't the nicest experience.
No.
But yeah, came straight out of the hospital and literally went straight back into work, going, "I'm here, I'm back." What are
Yeah.
you
What's
doing?
happened?
Numpty?
But you see, that's you, because of who you are. Well, I'm very conscious of. There's so many people at the moment who this whole situation has been horrific for them. They've never experienced anything like this before. None of us have ever had COVID before. But 2008, the recession for me, as you said earlier, affected me massively in terms of being a mortgage broker. You've had your challenges, you've had your gambling, you've had the health, you've had all of these things as well. And I think there's as you say, one thing in common is that we want to help more people. That's what we do. Do you know? I shared this just yesterday. I might actually post it up. But the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, did a survey. I think it was October last year, of the kind of basically the state of affairs for people's affairs, financial affairs. And what they found was 1 in 10 people, get this, 1 in 10 people reckon they will need to go to a food bank. 10% of the population. Now that's horrific. That's absolutely horrific. That
It's frightening, and you look at all the people queuing for homeless people queuing for food. We are exceptionally lucky to be where we are.
Yeah.
But I think what we also have, and what both of you and I give to people, is you give them choice.
Yeah.
Because COVID, not dressing it down or beating it up, you know what? It's just another challenge. Now, it's a very serious world.
Yeah.
It's a difficult challenge. But like any challenge, you have a choice. The minute it hits you, do you put your head down and keep running into it and hope that you break through it? Do you try and go over it, or do you try and go around it? Or do you take a step back and look at it and go, it is easy to go over because it's only 3 foot tall, or it could be 5 miles tall and 3 foot wide. If only I had taken a step back, I could have walked around this quite easily. And adapting. Now, again, although I deal with FSP, my traditional way of engaging with people has been hold their hands, shake them. Shake their hands, not hold them. Yeah, shake their hands, engage with them, have a cup of coffee, get to know them, because you are connecting people, you are supporting them, and you want to do your best for them. So when COVID happened, the lockdown happened, the first week of it, I said, I'm not doing this. No, I'm waiting for the traditional way to come back. I couldn't even spell Zoom. But you had to realize very quickly, if you don't adapt, you'll get left behind. So you have to do what you can do to just get by. And then what you should do is reflect and say, right, am I happy getting by? Or am I happy doing less? Or do I want to do more? Because if you continually self-assess where you are, you'll do more and you'll get better at it. If you don't, you'll just be languid. You'll slap there. George, that chap you talked about, who had the glass jar.
Yeah.
He said, there's 10% of people who should never be in sales. He said, just never. Just they walk through the door, and the minute they walk through the door, you're not dealing with them. They say the wrong thing, they look the wrong way. No disrespect to anyone, but there's 10% of people you go, I'm not buying from him. No chance. And then he says there's 85% of people in sales who are actually reasonably happy. They'll do all right one month, and then they might do all right, but they're comfortable, and that's the role, and that's their job. And then there's 5%, and the 5% are the absolute go-getters, the ones who will forever challenge the 5%. Because if I look at somebody doing something well, I'll copy it and I'll try and make it better. But I'm absolutely certain if I do that, they will do the same to me. Because if I improve their system, they'll steal it and then they'll improve it. But that's my challenge. And people like you are, a challenge to me in a really good way, because I see how you engage, how you do things online. Funny enough, every networking event I turn up to, you're there. So it's fun and it's engaging and it's a challenge, but I do love the fact that we have common threads, and the thread is, who can you help, who can you support, who can you connect, and if we can get through all of this together, then fantastic, and then that's that's our common line tonight.
I would agree. the phrase a raising tide lifts all ships, or raises all ships, is what we're trying to do, is bring that back up again, because I think now more than ever people do need to be connected. They do need to realise, they need to hear stories of people that were told you'll never even make Dublin 52 miles away. If you get there, you have made it in life 52 miles away. We're actually about 52 miles apart as we talk. Probably, if I got it out on Google Maps, we're probably about 52 miles apart. But the world's a big place, and you've got to take some. Sorry, because you sort of referred to gamblers or not. You do have to take some gambles in life, because there is no certainty. How many people thought 2 years ago life was safe? Their job was safe, their circumstances were safe, health was safe, and things just change. You've got to pivot, you've got to adapt, you've got to change. But realise there's people like yourself. I'm going to give a shameless plug to the FSB, because I'm a member of the FSB. Thanks to Gerry, and any small business owner. I still think that's a bad title, small business owner, because it's saying you have 249 employees. But once all sorts of unbelievable support, then you should be a member of the FSB. Personally, when I joined because of Gerry and his contacts. And I thought, you know what, I don't really need much from the FSB. They have this business networking events that I go to, and they're fantastic, and that's why I joined. But then I got a frozen shoulder. And then they've gone and paid for the consultation for the frozen shoulder. I had to pay for the rest of it. But it's like, well, you get that. That's just part of your membership. It's like, well, I've just saved me £180. We had a conversation over a PlayStation 5 that was stolen by the delivery driver. And I can't say too much in case people find out. But long story short, got some free legal advice and basically threatened to take Amazon all the way. And I mean all the way, because of some advice, thanks to the FSB solicitors, etc. So completely shameless plug. If you have a business, if you want legal advice, if you want, anything, just go Google FS. In fact, no, forget that. Just Google Gerry Brennan. Find them on LinkedIn. Connect with them. Let him tell you about all the amazing things that FSB can do for you. So that's a shameless plug. That's enough. You're not getting any more if you didn't pay me enough.
Keep going. You're doing a good job for me. Just twice I've been quiet now.
Absolutely. And this is recorded, so people go, my goodness me, Gerry can be quiet for 5 minutes in a 45-minute conversation. But I just want to thank you for coming on tonight. Hopefully people can take from you some inspiration, what is possible. The little boy in Ireland, in the middle of Ireland, where it's 50 miles to Dublin, who knew the 206 neighbours by name. I bet they even knew what sandwich that you preferred, whether it was ham, cheese, or whatever it was, when you went to the door and got the food. That's amazing. Anything. Anything would do to where you are now. It's been truly, truly remarkable. So, Gerry, thank you very much. Appreciate you giving up your time tonight on a Monday night. So thank you very much. Anybody, seriously, go and find this man on LinkedIn. Get onto LinkedIn with the name Gerry Brennan. I don't think there's many. If you're not sure, if you find me on LinkedIn as well, Spencer Thompson, we're both connected, and therefore it's easier to find Gerry as a result as well. So, Gerry, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time tonight.
You're very welcome, Spencer. Good to be here, man.
Okay, take care.